Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well and ready for a little bit of fire. Not too much. As my daughter would say, she doesn't know what the Song of Ice and Fire is, the George R. R. Martin series, but she made up this Ice and Fire song. So we'll have a little bit of cooling, a little bit of heating. Song of Ice and Fire. Um, You didn't need to know any of that. But let's get started. In child's pose today, if you're comfortable there, if you aren't, then start on your back and hug your knees into your chest. You can take them wide and you're essentially getting the same release. But if you are comfy in child's pose, then start to make your way there. So you could be, you could take your knees wide or your knees together, wherever feels better for you today. You could always bring a pillow underneath your torso to give yourself a little bit more lift. You could bring a pillow between your bum and your heels, particularly if your bum is up quite high, right? Depending on your ability to get a deep flexion in the knees, but also at the hips. Right? I get it. Some days it's tight. You just need to prop how you need to prop. And your arms could be extended, or you could bend your elbows and bring your hands underneath your shoulders. You could wrap your arms around behind you. If you get a cramp in your foot like I am, you can always come out of it and tuck the toes to release the cramp. And then, for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Then exhale, sigh your breath away. A couple more. And then continue breathing however you need to. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. Particularly with your face closer to the floor like this, you can probably hear your breath a little bit more, at least when I'm not talking. So you can use the sound of your breath to stay a little bit more present, a little bit more connected. And with every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. With each exhale, feel a gentle softening of your front body towards the earth. Inhale to lengthen through your spine, and exhale to soften. Last few breaths here. And if your arms are wrapped around you, start to extend them forward. And then you might need to come up out of the hips a little bit to do this. But start to walk your upper body over the left edge of the mat, maybe even off the mat. So coming into a side bend, right? So the arms are walking over to the left. Super normal for your head or your hips to lift a bit here. You could clamp down on top of your right hand with your left, or even grab your right wrist. And now as you breathe, inhale into the right side of the body, puff up the ribs. And as you exhale, think of lengthening your right sit bone back toward your heels a little bit more. Last breath here. And then on your next inhale, walk through center and then over to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep of a side stretch as you need. Breathing now into the left side of the body. With every inhale, puff up into the ribs, exaggerate the movement. And as you exhale, lengthen your sit bone back. Couple more breaths here. And then slowly come back to center. Gently press yourself up to hands and knees. Now, we were in child's pose for quite a long time there, so you might want to release the compression on the back of the legs. Step one leg out behind you, and then the other. And then let's set up in hands and knees for cat and cow. So fingers spread wide. Little draw of belly button to spine. Toes can be tucked or untucked. And as you inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round through your spine. Really press the floor away. And then inhale, dip into cow. Exhale, round into cat. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. It could be really simple, cat and cow, or maybe there's some other natural movement that you'd like to bring in here. Move however you need to move, or maybe you don't know how you need to move, and you just explore other movements. Last couple of breaths here. All right, and then come back to center, little draw of belly button to spine, fingers spread wide, tuck your toes, and then exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. You could pedal your heels here, bending one knee and then the other. You could wag your tail from side to side, getting a little bit of a side stretch. You could play with coming up on to fingertips on one hand or the other, or maybe both at the same time. Right, wherever you need to go. And then let's try to find a couple moments of stillness here. Hug your upper arm bones toward each other. Really press the floor away from you with your hands. Your knees could be bent or straight. It doesn't matter. And then bend your knees. Look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. You could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs if you'd like a little bit more support today. If you want more traction through your spine, you could clasp opposite elbows with hands. You could bring your hands to blocks, right? Bring the floor up to you. You could sway a little bit from side to side. You could be still. Doesn't really matter. Right? Just go where you need to go. And then release your hands with your fingertips to your shins or blocks or the earth. Inhale, a little part-way lift. Back the neck stays long. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more, just like that. Inhale, a little part-way lift. Exhale, release. Last one. And then bend your knees, tuck your chin into your chest, slowly start to roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time, as slowly as you need to go, till eventually you come all the way up to standing. Couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down for a little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. All right. Feet hip width apart ish on your inhale. Sit your hips down and back for chair pose. So tailbone down slightly, belly bent to spine. Natural tendency here is for the knees to just cave in because it's easier. It's not working as much. But I want you to track your knees out to really fire up your outer glutes. And bring your arms to cactus, open through the chest, right? Maybe you stay here. Maybe you start to reach your arms up from there without breaking at the hips, right? So if lifting the arms means your torso falls down, and bring your arms back to cactus or even into prayer. Sit the hips low, lift your heart high, knees out. And there's a lot going on here. All right, inhale, stand up, shake it out a little bit, and then come on back to the top edge of your mat. If for whatever reason, like me, you've moved. And then inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth. Forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands. So what I mean is bend your knees enough that the palms can come flat. And then on your inhale, step back to your plank, which could be from your toes or from your knees, but it's the top of a push-up. Squeeze your bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs, draw your lower ribs up to the sky. And then look forward as you exhale, come all the way down to the earth. You can always come down to your knees first. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side once you get there. Untuck your toes, press the tops of the feet into the floor. So much so, you start to feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button engage toward your spine. And the shoulder blades on your back. Inhale, lift your heart forward and up. Baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Couple more of these on your own time. Hands can hover or come off the mat. You could press up higher. If you are please, please, please squeeze your bum a little bit more so that you don't crank into the lower back. Right leg stays super active, pressing them into the floor, or at least the tops of the feet. Last breath here. And then tuck your toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Now, when I come from all the way down on the floor to downward facing dog, I need to step my feet forward a bit. Otherwise, the down dog is too long and it's really awkward. Right? It's hard to pike the hips in a long, long stance. Press the floor away from you. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, right back down to the earth. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Inhale, hop, step, or float back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through baby cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your right leg high, three-legged dog. As you exhale, step your foot to your right thumb, pause here, fingertips on the floor, look back, wrap your left foot to the floor for warrior one. So the foot's going to be on an angle, whatever angle it needs to be. So you can really start to wrap the outer left hip forward as you wrap the outer right hip back. And then maybe you lift up a little bit longer. From here, reach your right arm forward and then the left, and then drive through the front heel to come all the way up to your warrior one. Squeeze your bum on the back leg. Supercharge, right? Squeeze the top of the thigh. Supercharge the back leg towards straight. Can you de-weight your big toe on the back foot so you're not rolling into the arch of the foot, right? Really strong anchor position with that back leg. I don't care how far sunk into that front knee you are. I want you to think of the back leg being really strong. And then bring your arms to cactus. Lift the elbows a little bit, squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other. Inhale here. Exhale, come forward on a long line. Now pause. I want you to feel one long line from the back heel up to the crown of your head. Inhale here. And then exhale, twist to the right, to the front knee. Keep the elbows lifted. Couple breaths here. Draw the back hip forward, front hip back. All right, inhale, come back to center. Straighten through your front leg as you exhale, swan dive forward. Working toward both legs straight in pyramid pose. So you might step the back foot up or wider from where it is. So you can really start to wrap that left hip forward and draw your right hip back. This is a really fantastic place to bring hands to blocks. You give yourself a little bit more space, a little bit more ease. Hands could hover if you really want to take it into a strength variation. One more breath here. Okay, bend both knees. Step the back foot up about halfway from where it is, and then fold. This time as you fold, think of tucking your chin into your chest and around through your spine. Press the spine up to the sky, so it's kind of like cat. It's really awkward to breathe here, so let's release it. And bend into the knees again. Step the back foot up one last time so that your toes are in line with the front heel. So either on a tightrope, right, with the feet in line, or on train tracks, whatever feels best on your body. So a staggered forward fold, little micro bend, or even a deep bend on your knees here. All right, funky little transition. Send your weight into your back foot, so into your left foot. Can you lift the right toes up or the whole foot, hover it forward, and then inhale, sweep the right leg back behind you, standing L pose or standing splits. All right, we were really working on extension at the hip last time. So squeeze the bum, wrap the outer right hip forward, or down rather, spiral the inner right thigh up to the sky. You might stay here, you might dive your knee toward your nose. Or if you'd like a little bit more fire, exhale, curl into a little ball, bending knee and nose, or bringing knee and nose toward each other. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, curl. Last option is you do weight your hands as you do this. But my balance isn't there today on this side. Last breath here. All right, exhale, release your foot, standing forward, fold, little bounce, or wiggle, or sway. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back, flow, or downward facing dog. Wherever you need to go for a couple breaths. It could be movement, it could be stillness. And then on your inhale, lift your left leg high. Three-legged dog. Exhale, step your foot to your thumb. Pause here. Fingertips on the floor. Wrap the back foot to the floor for warrior one. So you might need to step it out a little bit wider. And then wrap the outer right hip forward as you draw the outer left hip back. Maybe you come up a little bit higher on your fingertips. And then reach the left arm forward. And then the right. And then drive through the front heel to come all the way up to your warrior one. And then really start to squeeze the bum on the back leg. Squeeze the top of the thigh. Can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot? Again, so you're not rolling into the arch of the foot. And if you have to reset your foundation, that's okay. Set your foundation. But I want your back leg to be really strong. And then maybe you bring your elbows to cactus. And then lean forward on that long line. Pause here, right? Really start to reach that back heel back as the crown of the head reaches up on that diagonal line. Inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left. Keep the elbows high. There's a lot going on here. Keep wrapping the front hip back, back hip forward. Lift the elbows. And then inhale, unwind. Gently straighten through your front leg. Exhale, swan dive forward. Again, working toward both legs straight in pyramid. So you might step the back foot up or wider from where it is. It makes it a lot more accessible. And then keep wrapping the outer right hip forward as you draw the outer left hip back. Make sure that there's buoyancy on the knees, that you're not just locking out into the legs. Again, hands could be on blocks or the floor or hovering. Last couple breaths here. And then bend into your knees, step the back foot up about halfway from where it is, and then round through your spine. Tuck your chin into your chest. Press the ribs up to the sky. And then release that one last time. Set the back foot up so it's in line with the front heel. Again, either on a tightrope or on train tracks, whatever works best for you today. Little micro bend or even a deep bend in your knees. All right. And then send your weight to the back foot. Can you hover that front foot up and forward? And then inhale, sweep the left leg back behind you. Standing L stance or standing splits. Make sure you're not opening the hips though. Right? Keep wrapping the outer left hip toward the earth. Option to stay here in your standing splits or exhale, curl into little ball. Knees and nose toward each other. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, curl. Maybe you keep hands on blocks or the floor. Maybe you de-weight your hands. Last breath here. And on your exhale, step your left foot down, standing forward fold, little wiggle, or sway, or bounce. And then for 3 breaths, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, step back either to hands and knees, child's pose, or downward facing dog. If you'd like to flow, you're welcome to flow. Couple breaths wherever you need to be. And then, my friends, in child's pose, press yourself up to hands and knees for a moment. My friends, in downward facing dog, if you're with me, gently release your knees to the earth. And then shift your hips on one side, swing your legs forward, shake them out a little bit. Whew, little windshield wiper of your knees. And then let's move into a stretch for the glutes that we worked so hard. Bring one leg in front of you, right shin in front, left shin out to the side. Now, sometimes this can get a bit hip crampy. Mine's already cramping. If that happens, you can tuck your heel into your bum, and that gives a lot more space for the hip, but it becomes a little bit more compression on the knee, right, wherever you need to go. And then get curious. From here, you might fold over top of that front shin, or you might rotate a little bit and fold over top of the front thigh. Some people might lift the left hip up all the way and twist around to the right, to the back, wherever you need to go. And then you could bring a block or a pillow underneath your head if you have one. If you would prefer to work pigeon prep, then by all means, sweep your left leg back behind you and then go into your pigeon pose. I like this variation simply because one leg or one hip is in internal rotation while the other hip is in external rotation. It just kind of balances things out quite nicely. Last couple of breaths here. And slowly press yourself back up to seated. Swing your left leg forward. Shake out your legs a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. So left leg comes in front, right leg out to the side, or you can sweep it around behind you for pigeon pose if you want. Maybe you tuck your heel into your bum. Oh, my hips are just cramping like crazy today. And then get curious, right? Maybe it feels better to come over top of the shin on this side, Or maybe you want to go over top of the thigh. Maybe you twist around and back to the left. You don't have to do the same variation from one side to the other. Right? We all have different muscular tightnesses from one side to the other. So just go where you need to go. But then try to find a few moments of stillness here. It tends to be when we bow our heads forward and we think that no one can see our face. That's when or rather when our minds start to race. So can you find your breath again? Or even a single point of focus for your eyes. Try to keep them still. Last few breaths here. And then slowly on your inhale, press yourself back up. Swing your right leg forward. Shake out the legs a little bit. And then plant your feet. Tuck your tailbone under. Maybe you start to do a Pilates style roll down to the floor as slow as you want to go. Or you can always use your hands for support. But eventually, making your way onto your back. And then draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. Let's end with a twist. So take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit to start with. And then exhale, lower your knees to the left. It can be as gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. Whether the knees are stacked, legs crossed, or a single leg twist. Last couple of breaths here. And then inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and your spine. Maybe shift your hips left a little bit, to left arm out to the side. Exhale, release the knees to the right. And again, as gentle or as deep as you need. Maybe you want a different variation on this side than on the first. Feel free to go where you need to go. But try to go to a place of ease so you don't have to hold on your muscular activation to be here. Last couple breaths here. And then inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and your spine, and then make your way into your final resting pose today, which could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or child's pose or a seated meditation. And think about where you would feel best today. And there's certainly no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Let go of any last muscular tension, gripping, particularly in the face or the jaw. And with each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.